Good evening. This is Ben, uh, Ben Higby from Cave Crusher Returns, which is now, which is now my Twitter. Used to be a Nazi intelligence until that was blocked. So yeah, today I have a topic to conclude because I didn't get to go through that Twitter. These two links before I continue with my episode 5, but I'm going to prelude the last episode on this Bellingcrap Cold War propaganda tweet where I said I responded to his pathetic tweet um, where he just, brainwashed his daughter about communism, pretty much comparing it to an NFT system, a pyramid scheme, which is ironic because NFT is what World Economic Forum is with their support and how they work. They promote this um, pyramid scheme tool and is already making money for big business, and this is what they support. It's part of the fourth industrial revolution, blockchain. These are the things that come out of the speculative market and the Wall Street. So for him to use the word communism is outright, corrupt and bankrupt and just plain ignorance. But this is the establishment. This comes from Bellingcrap, and we know the connections with Bellingcrap, NATO, NATO, which they work with, intelligence like Five Eyes intelligence and with Israel, creating this Gladio network to historically demonize the left, to demonize the communists, demonize Soviets, and this is their dogma to brainwash the public um, using these languages, and it's part of the great narrative, you know, by Klaus Schwab. You know, there's a whole book on it where they push their religious dogma, economic dogma, their value set, the great narrative for a better future, and this ain't communist. This is savage capitalism they want to push and squeeze and crush anything socialist. That's what Sachs was talking about, crushing socialism. Said something in that line, so I lost the link, but I will get it up next time. Talking more on this. Now, now I'm done with that. Um, where was I? Aunt BB put out something very before I just end another part of my prelude is the Fourth Reich authoritarian neoliberalism we are living under. And I just wanted to make it a brief info because she had critical information, great information about this, which not many are talking about. And, it started from Bill Clinton's steering the left to the right of the Democratic Party as his first term as president from 1993 to 1997. His Labour secretary helped him do that, Robert Reich. And his surname is just ironic, Robert Fourth Reich, and authoritarian neoliberalism, which is absolutely accurate. This is the system that paved way for what we have today under this World Economic Forum. This is the same system that helped kicked a lady, I forgot her name, but I'm gonna get it out if I can remember, where she was investigating speculative, you know, markets that were not, um, you know, there was problems with, you know, there was like a whole pyramid scheme to sum it up. I don't want to drag my foot, but I can't find her name. But you know, she's let me get to it. let me get to that. Let me get to the video. But also, I know a bit about the Glass-Steagall, that under his second term, he collapsed it before, the end of his term in 2000, end of 2000. So 1999, that after that, that paved way for destroying what's left and replacing it with a free, deregulated financial system, economic system, which is getting more authoritarian by force today with the global reset, and why it links to the populism and why it links to the hysteria we got today, and his the role to stamp out, populism by creating political crisis in the country at the time with the midterm elections, so they can just do what they need to do for 2020. So, because the idea of big business is to make sure that performance and its quarterly results is not disrupted by two-term system. That's how they work. They work in business quarterly term. They don't work with people's electoral selections. They want something that is stable. That's the whole point. Keeping that status quo of stability that works for big business. Anything that's disrupted, like, where government does something for the people, that goes against their profits. That goes against the agenda, the big business agenda. So, they use crisis as an excuse to suppress civil liberties and impose authoritarian public-private partnerships, as we are seeing now today. And we've seen a lot of that during that COVID psyop of 2020, 2021, with the contact tracing apps, outsourced programs, um, which is just tracking and private surveillance as people want for the past 2 decades. Neoliberalism, as a result, as it stands, is all about corporatism and privatization. So corporations will be used to impose censorship, as you're seeing with YouTube today, asking lawmakers to crack down, um, speech. You know, you know, big business. Allowing the big business to control speech. Big business running government, controlling speech. You know, I'll find a video, but it was about that YouTube CEO, lawmakers, and the lawmakers on uh, uh, speech. You know, so yeah, you know, business enforced censorship. You know, that's what she's going for. That's what they want. The current, the first BB, goes through the history of the Gilded Age, which was essentially the first era of neoliberalism, where the governments were not good, and this was pre-FDR system in the United States, and it was very similar to the British model, where Britain was the first industrialized country on the planet, and it was like it had you know it was Gilded Age, there as well. Workers were not treated well. It was not, you know, it was not, it was really bad. The conditions, working conditions were very shitty, and that was the history until that World War. After those, fast forward into the World War, post that, there was a system that was building up, created. The British keys, uh, keys in it. Yeah, keys, Keynesian Keynesian economics. That's the one I'm talking about. Yes, that's the one. And it is interlinked with what the post American, that post similar timeline for America, when after the end of the Great Depression of 1929, 1930 was the establishment of the FDR that put an end to that Great Depression. During that Gilded Age, it created huge profits for the rich, but poverty and misery for the working class, and not to mention the cycles of economic crisis, this boom bust economics, which there was a term for that, the boom bust 1700, the cycle, what it's called now. I forgot the term. Now I got it ready. I wish I got it ready, but there was a system similar to a system like that in Europe during the 19th century. And if someone, remembers it, they can put in the comment section. And the lady that Bill Clinton fired for trying to stop these black boxes, like, speculative markets, these dodgy, scammy markets in the late 90s. But fast forward, the current era of neoliberalism is slightly different. It's increasingly incorporating authoritarianism as well to impose neoliberalism's obscene profits for the rich and deep poverty for the rest. The neo-McCarthyism over Russian interference has made it possible to impose this authoritarian to save democracy. And that's what they've been doing with, with the culture of cruelty, making authoritarian neoliberalism politically inevitable. And that was the start. That was the mainstream. I mean, since this 9/11 and the collapse of the Lehman Brothers of '08, this is connected to, the authoritarian neoliberalism of the 21st century. It from the mid 90s to the late 90s, it started as a foundation for Bill Clinton, and reducing regulations, cutting red tape. And at that same time, in the late 90s, in 1997 was a critical year. It's where it was the year of the creation of the PNAC, and that has links to what took place of that 9/11 psyop, and what's happening today with the World Economic Forum, Global Reset, and what they want: a piece of Ukraine, the Royal Dutch Shell, and to ExxonMobil, So since the narrative has been, oh dear, maps, no, news. I'm still not used to this layout of being, but as I continue living with COVID strategy, I don't want to say too much on that, but it really links. It really links to all of this. Why? Because since the narrative don't work for the last 2 years, so their last cheap exit will, on their way out to make money for a hungry, dried mouth sector of the military industrial complex. They're throwing chaos. And with that, you can have that military warfare. You can have some cyber warfare. As Claude Schwab has said, and in his last year's simulation, last summer, preparing for a situation of these exercises. So that's why I interconnect with what is happening with Europe and what is happening with Ukraine and what's happening with North America. What's happening with North America? It's like a Russian roulette, as I see it, and it brings like a perspective, like a interconnected perspective of these events that's taking place today, and it's all throwing chaos. That's what Scott has said in his previous videos, um, you know, and that's what's that's what we are facing today. That's what we're facing today in February 2022. So I just wanted to put out there before I go to my next segment. So thanks for watching this prelude, and then stay tuned for the episode 5 because I don't want to drag the prelude with the episode 5. So I'm keeping this prelude as a conclusion to part 4 so I can start fresh with the episode 5. So see you on the next one. Bye.